as soon as I got into the interview with that guy, he was like, "You're not a real data architect. You're actually a data modeler." And he was just like speaking down to me.
Okay, Hackerpool family, we are back again, and today we have Kierra today with us. She's an AI governance pro, and she's an AI strategy pro as well.
Yeah.
So please, can you tell the people more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. I am Kierra Dotson. I'm a director of AI strategy and governance for a company called Further, which is a digital transformation company doing data, cloud, and AI. I also run the Data Block, which is a data and AI career coaching consultancy. I'm also a thought leadership person, content creator, keynote speaker. It just keeps going. Yeah, I've done a lot, but essentially, when it comes to data and AI, I am the woman.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot.
I know. That's a really impressive resume.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive. So could you walk us through your journey, like where it all started and then kind of like how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's definitely not linear. So
Okay.
I did go to UT Austin for my degree. It was a major in computer science with a minor in sociology. While I was there, I was like, okay, I see computer science. There's a lot of ways to make money here.
Okay.
Which
Right.
one makes the most sense for me to go into?
Okay.
Because I'd hate to do this, like hate my job for like however
Yeah.
long until I'm 65.
Yeah.
So I tried a myriad of different internships. My first one was as a full stack developer.
Okay.
I also did like
okay.
some Android app development while there too. It was a defense contracting company.
Okay.
And then after that, I tried web design. Hated it. I don't like
Really?
CSS at all.
Okay.
It's
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too, I hate it.
It's just too much. It's enough. It's like
Yeah.
I'm fighting with it.
Yeah.
After that, I joined my last internship and first full time job out of college was at Visa.
Congrats.
And
That's big.
thank you. I joined as a learning technologist, which is very vague to this day. I don't even know what that means. But essentially, what it was I was helping to stand up the learning analytics department for the learning and development team in the HR department. Essentially, you know how y'all take those HR, the compliance training courses?
Yeah.
And then sometimes there might be instructor-led courses or like internal training. So essentially what I was doing was helping to set up the data infrastructure and analytics around making sure everybody was taking the right training as needed
Gotcha.
to help
Okay.
avoid any regulatory concerns or having to pay fees, as well as just seeing how people were engaging with the actual content we were producing. So I did that, and then towards the end of my time there as a full-time employee, it got to the point where I was just mostly building out Tableau dashboards, and that was in 2017, 2018. So that's before like big data and all that
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
came up. It
Yeah.
was starting to brew.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know I was doing data work.
Okay.
And so I was like, why am I building these dashboards? I literally paid all this money and have this prestigious degree to code. So why am
Yeah.
I building dashboards?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when I actually left to go to IBM. I spent majority of my career at. I spent about 7.5 years there, I'd say.
Interesting.
But that's where I started my journey into cloud.
Okay.
So I worked in the on Key Protect, which is a data encryption service for all the you know how people will buy a bunch of services on like AWS Cloud or something.
Yeah.
They have to
Yeah.
have ways to protect that and encrypt
course.
those.
Yeah.
So that was the equivalent for IBM. I started as a cloud engineer there, helping to build out that service. I am also a type of person that likes to jump around and learn all things because
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
have many ways to get a bag.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
our
get different
technical
skills.
writer at the time left to go to Microsoft, so I was a technical writer for 6 months.
Yeah.
Which was cool because I actually got to produce one of the first articles for IBM on quantum computing.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
So that was
Okay.
really cool at the
That's
time.
so cool.
Once that stint was over, I did move to DevOps.
Okay.
Oh.
Same team and everything like that, but helping to actually focus on deploying and like the infrastructure and SRE work behind that. That was cool. And then after that, there was like a reorg happening. So they moved me to still in the cloud department, but even lower level, which was the infrastructure part that's powering like 53% or like 53 services that were in IBM Cloud. So I was dealing with like pure Kubernetes. It was Kubernetes software engineering.
Okay.
And like not the cloud managed one, it was like the manual one. And so there was like thousands of clusters I had to, it was insane.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
It was insane.
Yes.
I got tired. If I don't even want to like know about
Think about
Kubernetes anymore. If I have to
Yeah.
type another cube command in the terminal, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Yeah.
So around that, but it's funny because during all of that time, I was getting hit up for contracts to do data engineering and data architecture for Charles Schwab and Chewy to help them essentially replicate what I did at Visa. They were like, I see that you did like L&D work there with learning analytics. Could you do that for us? So I did those contracts as well on the side. And while I was doing it, at that time I knew I was doing data, and I was like, oh, I really like this. I'm really good at this.
Okay.
And that's where the data conversationalist brand came, and me creating content around that and helping people to get into data careers.
Right.
So I did that. I started to realize more and more that I really wanted to do this full time, but I mean, the data wave had already passed, so the AI was there. So I decided I wanted to pivot to AI. So I took a lot of time training, doing courses and things of that nature, and then I was actually able to build or get the director of AI strategy role. I originally just wanted to be an AI strategist, which is essentially what you're doing is talking to executives, senior leadership on how to build and deploy the right use cases in their organizations with the right level of risk attached so they don't get hit with compliance fees, making sure they're maintaining their brand, but also still producing the measurable business outcomes that they need to make sure they can maintain a competitive advantage in the market.
Right.
I like that because I still get to be technical, but I don't have to code.
Yeah.
Right.
I also get to talk to executives and get that visible exposure, and that's also where the money is. So I interviewed for AI strategist role through a colleague I met at a speaking engagement early in the year. They up-leveled my role to actual director of AI strategy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's crazy.
I got a clap.
Yeah.
Man, this is like one of the most impressive career roadmaps I've ever heard.
Because it sounds like it's been a lot of transitions and like skills like acquisitions as well.
Yeah.
How have you been able to stay like level-headed, stay sane, and stay in path of what you're trying to achieve?
Great question, because I am multidisciplinary, but I also, while I have a breadth of skills, I have a depth of skills.
Yeah.
And I tell people this, especially when they're hopping from like shiny object to shiny object. It's less about the new tools and stuff that come out each day. It's learning the fundamentals of each job or each discipline you're in.
Right.
And when you go to that level, you start to understand all these different skills, like cloud, DevOps, like software engineering. They all relate to one another.
Oh, yeah.
And they all are like the end-to-end process of deploying a system.
That's it.
And so once you understand the fundamentals of that, it's easy to pick up like the nuances of whatever discipline it is that you're doing. So that's really what it was. Also, I took the time to learn each of those skills to understand what I did and didn't like.
Yeah.
And that helped to guide me to my next path.
next
or skill.
path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you were just like, ooh, new tool, ooh, new shiny.
No.
Okay.
Each of those skills I have years of experience in
Yeah.
individually. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like a 6-month stint or even like 3 months and I'm like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I've come, I'm seen, I've conquered.
Yeah.
Let me move to
Conquered.
something else.
Something else.
I know I don't like this.
Yeah.
Like I've saw it through.
An organic, intentional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
because I feel like in anybody's tech journey, right? I feel like you need to try different things to know what's for you.
Yes.
Right? You can't really know that. Okay, yeah, I'm going into cyber. I'm going into AI. I feel like you touch your hands on different things.
Yes.
You be like, okay, yeah, I want to stay here.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
So
Where I
that's
wanna be.
pretty impressive.
So you talked about like transitioning to AI because you like data. Like, what was that learning process, that upskilling process? Are you the type to just like get on YouTube and just figure things out, or you pay for courses? Because a lot of people like to know like the best way to learn and learn
Yeah.
fast and efficient.
Great question. I realized, not to be braggadocious, I forgot a job. After the cloud and the Kubernetes software engineer, I actually, before I became a director of AI strategy, for 4 months, I was a pre-sales AI engineer in IBM's department. That was my transition, and that was very strategic because at this point, we see the job market is very, very difficult for AI, so it made sense to pivot internally versus externally.
Yeah.
Now, on the way to becoming an AI engineer and landing that role, I spent a lot of time. I was blessed because I already had the understanding of software engineering, and I also had the understanding of DevOps. And that's really what you need to know to complete and be an engineer in general, because AI engineering it's software engineering. It's just literally the subset. You're just applying it to AI.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I had that competitive advantage. So what I did was just understand the most popular frameworks and just picked one. Because they essentially all do the same thing. It's just different branding. It's kind of like gas stations. You go to Exxon or like, 7-Eleven or something. They all sell gas. It's just different logos and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
They might have slight low nuances, but it's not enough to like deter you from like, no, I don't want this gas.
Yeah.
So same thing there. And a lot of things that times I tell my clients, and I like to back this up, is with projects, because that solidifies that you are learning and that you understand what you're building.
For sure.
So my project was it was an AI-powered beauty makeup, not generator, but it'll help you to find what makeup stack you should use, like using Danessa Myrick's actual line, which was cool. So essentially, you'd upload a photo of yourself, talk about what the weather is, where you're going, like is your skin oily, things like that girls care about when we do makeup. And then from there, it will create you a customized makeup routine based off of all that information. And so
I'm like, I should use this.
I know. I was scared to talk about it, but when I was,
should.
everybody's like, oh my gosh, you built that? And I was like, yeah. But yeah, I did that because, quite frankly, I'm good at coding, but I don't really like it all that much. I don't get the same excitement as I saw my peers with like coding on the weekends or either just being happy with solving a problem. I get pissed when I have to spend hours trying to debug and I just forgot like a semicolon or something.
Right.
Like,
It's
I
annoying.
rate. Yeah. So, because I'm like, this is so simple, bro. I don't have time for this. I have like stuff I want to, like, I'm too, I'm like, this is not a game for me. Like, this is serious. So, so that's why I added the beauty element in, just because it made it more fun for me. It was also something that I'm interested in and care about. And that's something I recommend to all my clients who are doing like career coaching, is to pick an industry that you're actually interested in and apply it to those projects, because one, you'll learn better and more in depth. You'll be able to speak to it better in interviews, and then also it looks really cool to have that on your resume. Like even talking to you all, you were like, whoa.
That's pretty cool.
So
that's pretty good.
that's where it went for that. And that's what really helped to push me over the edge of knowing and making sure I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
On top of just honestly paying attention to what's happening in the market and like what tools are coming out, why one would use those tools, press releases of the upcoming and like most popular businesses, the hyperscalers, the frontier labs. Just staying up to date with what's happening. That way I can speak to it in interviews. I'm also just a curious person like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really what I did to transition. So by the time I had my interview for the AI engineer role, the first interview, he was like, oh, yeah, like this is it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then like, it was pretty much, and then by the time I had the director role, they were like, oh, yeah. And I had like 5, 6, 7 interviews there.
Wow.
But they all went swimmingly just because I'd be in there yapping. Like, because at that point, I was so up to date. I just be chilling. Like, it was not even, and it wasn't even about the coding part. It's just, I hated like leak code and stuff like that. Because I freeze up on the spot.
Yeah.
Because I'll forget literally what a for loop is. Yeah. But if we're talking like scenarios or something chill, like what you've seen and what you heard in the industry or something, we could talk all day. It's very chill.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was long-winded, but
That's
that's what I did.
So being an ex coder now, I guess, developer, with AI being out there pushing out code, is a computer science degree still worth it for most people in college these days? Because I see articles and stuff of students saying, "Oh, I can't get a job. Oh, the market is so language." You know what I mean? So is it still worth it today?
Great question. It is.
Okay.
And that's not just because I have my degree and feel like I have to say that. I've gotten great ROI on it, but that's also why I chose it.
Yeah.
But it's less about that. So here's the thing. I like to give advice that people can go verify for themselves, even though I am credible, because that's part of strategic thinking.
Right.
Go look at 15 engineering job descriptions on LinkedIn, Indeed, wherever, and tell me if you see a degree listed or not.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You are going to see it. It's going to be listed.
Yeah.
They're still listed, which means it's
Computer
still
science,
it's a qualification. So despite what media is telling you or what you're seeing, that's what the hiring managers are looking for. That's the people that are actually going to give you a job. That's what they're looking for. So people have to pay attention to what the actual requirements are versus the he say, she say.
Right.
And then also, computer science is much more than coding. Like there's a difference between being like a programmer and an actual engineer, because you have to, like, anybody can code. I can pull up Claude Code and they'll do it, but it can't help you as much with like architecture, understanding trade-offs. It also doesn't understand the nuances of your business and all the different business units and things of that nature. So it teaches you like the fundamentals of just engineering through and through versus just how to code.
Right.
And it's rigorous and tedious for a reason. And that's because you really do come out with the skills to set you up to be able to apply your knowledge across all the different areas. I see all these AI degrees coming out. I get it, but at the same time, what AI is not the end all be all of technology.
Oh, yeah.
There is quantum computing.
Computing,
There's
right.
robotics,
Yep.
physical AI. So
Yeah.
you just got this 4-year degree in AI, but quantum computing is there. Is that going to translate over?
Yeah.
No,
Good
because it's
point.
just a subset of building
Right.
AI tools. It's not showing you the overarching vision of like software engineering.
Yeah.
I recommend people just go ahead and get the 4-year software engineering degree and specialize in AI, specialize in quantum
Specialize in-
computing,
okay. Yeah.
just
Yeah,
like I did
yeah.
when I minored in sociology.
Yeah.
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 So maybe it's less about the degree, but it's more about what makes you stand out because you're competing against not only you're a new graduate competing against other new graduates, but also competing against professionals that are already working. So like, what can they do to stand out then in that case?
Yes. So, and I don't want to tell people, and I don't want to like make it seem like I'm fear mongering, like you have to have the degree. I
Yeah.
don't believe that. If you can get it, great. Or even better, if you can get in, have your employer pay for one, even better.
Even better.
I'm
huh?
very, I'm very
for
much
sure.
for being strategic about that type of stuff. I'm not doom and gloom at all. There's always a pathway to getting what you want. You just have to like keep your eyes open on what options are available to you. But as far as standing out, that's where the projects come in, and that's why I
Yeah.
talk about if you're following the same YouTube tutorials as like literally 30,000 other people, how is that going to help you to stand out? So
Yeah,
go one
exactly.
level deeper. And typically, let's say you're on the builder side of things and you're doing engineering. Maybe you want to be an AI engineer. It doesn't even matter. Whatever engineer you want to be. Maybe it's a cybersecurity too.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, pick an industry that you really like. Maybe it's like retail. You want to work for
Yeah.
like a luxury fashion house. Maybe it's healthcare.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, Netflix, somebody. Pick a business problem in one of those lanes and then build your project around that. You start with
Yeah.
like a business problem. Like Netflix, they're like, oh, we need to help with like making sure we store additional metadata or like tracking it or something
Right.
like that. Find a data engineering pipeline like solution that you can build based off of that business problem. Because at the end of the day, engineering is for helping to solve business problems and to drive value. It's like the tool is a means to an end.
Yeah.
Right.
If you can build something, I'm pretty sure we've experienced this before. You built something and then it's not even used because it didn't actually help to solve
Help,
the business
Problem,
problems
yeah.
or what the business was looking for.
Yeah.
Right.
So you want to work backwards from that. And it also helps you in the long run because you'll be able to quantify like your experience and what you did for the company on your resume. And when you're able to do that, you make more money because you
Yeah,
show your
right.
value.
So,
So have your
because
business
because
hat
that was
on.
going to be my next question, right? Is like for someone that isn't employed, how can they sort out projects just to like improve their learning experience,
Experience,
basically?
Yeah.
So yeah, start with your YouTube tutorials. I don't want to discount them. They're very good for getting started. Figure out how you can take this a step above. Okay, I've done this YouTube tutorial. What else can I add to this situation or problem that makes it more difficult and more likely to stand out? Or if you want to, use AI. Hey, I have like I want to get a data engineering job. Can you help me come up with like a list of problems I should be solving or projects based off of these hobbies I like, these industries that I want to work on, this job description I pasted from LinkedIn. Use AI to actually help you to get ahead. Also, figure out how to build something production grade. It's obvious you're obviously not going to be able to get like a full blown on Kubernetes environment, but just understanding Kubernetes because that's the standard, de facto standard for deploying AI stuff. And you
Right.
should learn that as even as a software engineer, anyways. Who wants to build some stuff that they don't even actually know how to deploy?
Deploy it. Mm-hmm.
So there's that, and then on a non-technical side, it's the same thing for like PMs, GRC experts, things of that nature. Practice building out an actual policy for like a McDonald's or like a Chewy or like a Costco. Just pick a place and you just pretend to build out policy documents or
Yeah.
like a Google search feature. If you were a PM, what would you actually add as a new
Yeah.
feature? These are things that you actually think about on the job.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
better for you to be able to speak about it or speak to it in interviews and show that you've already been thinking about this type of
Exactly.
stuff.
That's good.
Right, that's
But it
true.
seems like throughout your career, right, you've been on the technical and the non-technical side, right? Which one do you like better and why?
Ooh, that one's difficult because while now I'm technically in a non-technical role in the sense of I don't code, but
Right.
my day-to-day is still very technical in the
Right.
sense of having to
Conversations.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, my conversations are very technical. I like non-technical just because I don't like to code.
Yeah.
I also like being closer to business executives and leaders because I get to
Right.
have more impact and
Yeah,
really
Yeah.
shape
that makes
like
sense.
them.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's so freaking cool that two of my clients, I'm literally helping to shape the future of the organization for like the next 2+ years when it comes to AI. One of them is a very popular open source company. Another one is one of the biggest financial payment institutions. It feels cool to talk about that and have that level of impact.
Yeah.
But there's also so much responsibility that comes with that.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think it's important for us, especially our people, to know what comes with that. Like you see
Yeah.
the big salaries, you see all the big speaking engagements and stuff, but there's a lot of risk to it where if you don't know your stuff, things can go wrong.
Wrong,
Yeah.
Yeah, because like for me, I'm very technical. I don't even want to see the non-technical side. Right? Sometimes, like you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
for someone like me, how can I build my skills in the non-technical side, just be able to be in front of the business executives and things like that?
I love this question because I actually just piloted a new talk this year, which is called AI Strategy for Engineers.
Yeah,
In this market, is coding is commoditized at this point where you can spin up Claude code, so you're not really providing a lot of value if some machine is going to code for you.
Definitely.
sure.
The best way to do that is to be able to lead. I say lead up. We've heard of manage up, but you lead up to the leaders to help them understand what they should be buying as far as actually procuring software, they should actually be building as far as the use cases that make sense. Because at the end of and then also risk. At the end of the day, when something goes down or when something gets deployed and there's an incident, the engineers are the first people in trouble for that.
Right.
But they're never the ones in the rooms where the big decisions get made.
Of course.
Right.
So you have to find a way to be able to communicate that with the business leaders. You also have to be able to communicate, hey, y'all are wanting us to build a mansion with like 2 pieces of wood, bro. Like, like and just be like, this is what's going to cost you. Like as far as risk, like not only brand reputation, we're going to lose money from having to source people and resources. We also don't have the actual infrastructure to support what you're talking about right now. So being able to talk about that, but it's very simple because it's just in the language of business leaders. They don't care about no Kubernetes or no coding or Python.
Of course.
They care about what actually like matters and shapes the business. So you just learn to communicate in their language. Most times it's going to be in the sense of like saving money, making money, making sure you're protecting the brand. Also maybe even type of like compliance risk or you violating like GDPR or any of the other regulations they adhere to.
Right.
So,
like,
go ahead.
okay, so like as an AI strategist, your focus is deploying AI in the company. Like your business focal point is how AI can improve the business, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so currently, like you don't have to tell me like what projects y'all are working on, but like, are you like, what do the conversations sound like? Is it like, oh, we want to include this like new AI feature in our product? What model should we use to deploy it? Like what are those conversations actually sound like in the room?
Great question, because I know this AI strategist, it sounds very vague. So there's a couple of different work streams or types of engagements I work in. On one side is like the business side of things. That's your AI strategy and your AI governance. And typically in those types of conversations, it's talking to the leaders and executives about, okay, they say they have a list of use cases they want to deploy. Which ones make the most sense for them in terms of this is actually move towards the business goals you want to achieve this year? Is it even feasible in the sense of, do you actually have the engineers to support this? Do you even have the internal infrastructure, or do you need to go get a vendor? Also, risk. There's a difference between deploying a simple like chatbot that like pulls up some documents and gives you the answers to stuff versus having full-on autonomous agents that are like deploying and like or declining or accepting people for loans.
Yeah.
So like there's like thresholds between that.
Yeah.
So we call it's called like prioritization of use cases. That's something I work with them on. And then there's also the AI governance part of it as well too, where I'll help them to mix of different documents, but essentially it's putting the policies and procedures in place for deploying and like maintaining these AI systems. So it's looking at, okay, what regulatory concerns do you have? Because it depends on the industries, especially if it's a high risk one like healthcare or finance or something like that. So it's like, okay, which regulations do you have to pay attention to, and how do we incorporate these into the build out of actual like software and products? Also, how do we make sure that the vendors you're using are adhering to these?
Right.
There's also accountability is a really big one that lacks now. We can say, okay, we have all these policies in place for governance, but who's actually accountable for something goes wrong or approving something? So there's something called a RACI chart, and it just shows who's responsible, who's actually accountable, the consultant in the event something needs to happen. And I forgot what I means, but yeah, and that's essentially mapping out actual people, government names to match out who's responsible for what.
Government names.
So just so you know,
Yeah.
like this is where you're supposed to be at. So there's no room for confusion.
Yeah.
And then there's also like, I mean, a risk tiering one, like I said, between, chatbots versus like autonomous agents.
Yeah.
But walking in them and all that stream is encompassed into like a roadmap from getting people from like 0 to 100, typically in like a couple of different phases. And having like guardrails in place, like, okay, you can't move to phase 2 unless these things from phase 1 are covered. More than most of the time, the people or the companies I consult with, which are typically Fortune 500, they want to be world class in AI because obviously it gives them a competitive advantage, and they want to be seen as the AI leader in their industry. So we basically help to give them the roadmap and the building blocks to get there.
And there's so many webs to this goal.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much that goes into it.
But that's what I like because my mind is always thinking about so many different things and how they work. And then there's the second part, which is the implementation part. A lot of times in the panel sessions from like prioritizing use cases, there are like 3 or 4 that scream like we should be building this. So I'll work with my engineers as well as like PM to actually get those built out. And I'll just be like the guiding light to make sure that they actually meet what the client is looking for. And then everybody else is more hands-on.
Yeah.
So that's the 2 sides of it being an AI strategist.
So I wanted to ask on this like career path and this journey you've been on, what are the most like personally difficult challenges that you've had?
Ooh, this is a very good question because it has not been easy for me at all. So, and it starts back in college. Quite honestly, I almost like got kicked out of college. I had I had some like autoimmune issues that I really were like rare, hard to figure out what to do about. And that caused me to like have to like drop a few classes. And then also my grades weren't the greatest. And also UT Austin is ridiculously hard. It's like one of the top 10 schools for CS.
Right.
And so I didn't come from that background of having understanding how to code or even knowing what code was. Quite frankly, I thought that being a software engineer was like going to the Apple store and you teach people how to open up apps and stuff. Like that's how far I'm from the hood. So that's how far removed I am from that. So I'm going to school with people who literally had to build an app in order to get their first iPhone. And their moms and like dads are like directors at Google and stuff. And I'm like,
the bar is.
It'd be like that.
Yeah, like I'm like my family has no idea what software engineering is, and
Yeah.
yours like you're born into this.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. There's also the challenge of just having a lot of people doubt me, especially non-Black people that are leaders, because it can be hard for some to like fathom that someone that was I'm still young, but like early 20s, young, Black is capable of having this much knowledge and able to move so fast. So I've had times where I'll go into an interview and they'll ask me a ridiculously hard question for no reason. And of course I stumble, or either one contract I did so well that the director of data architecture wanted me to come full time, but I had to meet his boss, which is like the director of engineering. And my title there at the time was basically, data architect.
Right.
As soon as I got into the interview with that guy, he was like, "You're not a real data architect. You're actually a data modeler." And he was just like speaking down to me. I was like, "What made you go with this verse? Like, what? I didn't.
Yeah, what did I do?
Hi. Yeah, I was like, how are you?" So I've had times like that where people would just go in,
Go crazy.
Just
going
underestimate
crazy
you
out of
for no reason.
nowhere, or like they just feel threatened because I'm a data architect and I'm only like 23, 24, 25, whatever it was. Mind you, his job was not even at risk. I'm like, you are like senior leader. So that played with me a lot, and that also delayed me getting into like a full-time data engineering and AI degree. I won't even pretend here, because it really like shook me, because I guess I wasn't expecting that, especially because my boss already had glowing reviews. So to have somebody else come and interview me and they're like downplaying that is weird.
Yeah, you didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I did it. I was like, what the heck? So there was that, and then also just making the full pivot was a lot for me in my mind of like, can I actually do this? I had a lot of imposter syndrome at that time. So there was that. And then the next, what other challenge did I have? Just trying to focus in and bunker down on what I really want and being okay with that, and just moving fast towards it. Yeah. Instead of like focusing on other people's expectations to me, especially because I have a bigger following, especially on Twitter and stuff like that. So there's expectations. So I had to like dull that down and focus on what I want. Yeah. And ever since I've done that, I've actually been better than ever. Good. And I feel like I've been able to connect with my audience and help people even more. Yeah. Just by being relatable and honest about what I've been through and who I am.
Nice.
So given your position in AI, like, where do you see AI moving the workforce? Because a lot of people are like, oh, gonna lose all these jobs to AI and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I want to let people know, yes, some jobs will be lost, but in the sense of every time there's a new technological advancement,
Yeah.
there is a reduction. Like there's a reduction of certain jobs, but an addition of new jobs.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
back then, like in the 90s, they didn't have no
For the
cloud
internet.
engineer. So like you
Yeah.
have to
Of
think
course,
about
yeah.
that. So yeah, there's just a new way of like
Opportunity.
living and work. There's
Yeah.
always new opportunities there. So you shouldn't think of it as like you're gonna be replaced. Like
Yeah.
okay. Quite frankly, the UBI conversation and like everybody's going to lose their job and everybody's going to be unemployed and you just get like a UBI stipend check, it's not realistic.
Yeah.
And I say this because this country runs on consumerism and capitalism. UBI is a basic stipend check just to cover and make sure you have a roof over your head and food on your table. It's not going to cover you wanting to go to the steakhouse or you wanted to get a new pair of shoes or like any discretionary income. Like I'm not going to be able to go to Sephora and get like my, it's not going to happen. And because of that, the government's not going for it. And so that's why there's a lot of smoke and mirrors with a lot of the frontier labs and the people leading because they haven't quite figured out how to tell executives, yes, AI is good, but you're going to have to pay for inference, but you're also going to have to pay for employees as well.
Yeah.
And as we're seeing, AI is ridiculously expensive.
It is.
So
It
it's
is.
all marketing. Quite honestly, you should still be upskilling. In reality, your job will change in the sense of AI will automate some stuff, but there's still the human element that's going to
Of
be
course.
needed.
Yeah.
AI also is not working at a PhD level, like as much as they say.
The thing is too though, AI, the UBI conversation, I think that's more for like 20, 30 years from now. Like I don't like right now we're kind of like in the frontier of like what it could look like. I mean, we have massive companies like Microsoft and these big companies constantly doing layoffs. Like it's like we're kind of seeing the wave of like businesses trying to replace human beings but then still needing them. And I
Yeah.
think they're trying to get there, but I don't think I feel like it's going to happen. If it's going to happen like 30 something years from now. But I do feel like there's a possibility that could be the reality, really, just because as much as the government is fighting for people to stay employed, if a business makes a decision that we need to cut costs and we need to cut employees and we found a better way to handle it, they're going to make their executive decision to do
Yeah.
so.
They will.
It's just going to happen. And so like then the government has to figure out, okay, so since we can't force companies and to keep people employed, how do we solve? Those stipend checks are probably going to be their best solution for that, to keep consumerism like floating. And they'll probably have to solve it economically. Like how do we, give people money to still feel like they can have their luxuries and not revolt against us. Like I feel like eventually you can't really because America is built on capitalism, businesses are king. Like they make the ultimate decisions. We live really, I don't want to go too deep into it, but we really are ruled by like companies really. And the government is like the second tier, if you ask me.
Yeah. We're gonna say, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like, and I feel like we all just need to face the reality. Just like you said, right? Some jobs will be lost. It's not about this thing. Like, if you go back to the 1950s, 1960s, right? Technology has evolved
Yeah.
crazy, and jobs have been lost in that process too.
Yes, 100%.
So it's the
Yeah.
same thing that's happening again. Like, so I feel like people need to face that reality. Oh yeah, it's gonna be lost. But as you said, it's gonna be new chances or new opportunities coming up. So we need to adhere or adapt to that reality coming.
Yeah.
For me
coming soon.
personally, I think jobs that will be lost are jobs that are like day-to-day activities. Do this, click.
Yeah.
do this. Those kind of jobs are the things that will be lost. Because when it comes to like technical engineering things, right? AI can perform it, but when something goes wrong, somebody has to review it.
Exactly.
I mean, people are literally using AI as therapists now too, and as their legal counsel. Like people are using AI for the things you wouldn't.
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
Sometimes people don't have the like $400 to book a session, so they'd rather just go to Claude and say, "Claude, this is what I'm going through." So I feel like kind of like it's like give and play, but I do see the opportunity of. I'm not happy about it by any means, but I feel like the way businesses are pushing for AI to replace stuff, like I think they want it to happen, like to where we're kind of like.
Yes, I agree with that because a lot of the tech leaders they have a lot of like personal issues and they take it out on everybody else and they have the money for it, like just to amplify that. That's why I say money doesn't like really change people. It just amplifies who you already were.
Yeah,
And
100%.
so a lot of that is them trying to feel like better about themselves or like they can have power over people.
I think that's what it is.
And
Yeah.
also executives, just like we are very uncertain as like IC employees, executives also are uncertain and don't really understand what's going on. And there's a lot of everywhere there's a lot of information on AI, but there's not a lot of education on AI.
Yeah.
And that's why I like do what I do so much with talking not only to like the executives, but also creating content just to help people find a better path on what they should do, and then also just how to think for themselves and to like sort things out.
Yeah.
I don't know what the future holds. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do and I'm like the guiding light.
Yeah.
Right.
But I will say I don't think things are going to get as murky with AI as people think that they are.
Yeah.
Especially because the whole thing of AI actually acting like and becoming like a person is just not realistic with LLMs because it's by nature, not to dilute what it does, but it's a pattern matcher. It's just based off of data. So
That's
it doesn't know how
true.
to think, feel, do certain things. It can pretend like it.
Yep.
And even though you'll see people like, oh, they blackmailed me and said they told my wife I was cheating on her if I don't do X, Y, and Z. It's just mimicking what it read from like Reddit. And by the way, Reddit is like the biggest place for data collection for you.
Yep.
So if
Oh
y'all
my
have been on
gosh.
Reddit,
Yep,
it can be
it
very
is.
good, but
Yes,
it can
get
also
off
be
Reddit.
very dark.
Get off Reddit.
Yeah, but so most of our like conversations, we talk about like how can someone, without the tech background get into tech, this, that. But what I really want to know is like how can someone in a mid-level position get to your level,
Yeah.
like senior level or like
Yeah.
director-based level, basically.
Honestly.
What do I need to do?
I love this question. 'Cause there's
Yes,
not a
we
lot
want to
of-
know.
Yeah,
There's
like
not a lot of content
It
about
sounds
that.
like you're asking for yourself, bro.
you know what I'm saying? Like what do I
Can
need
I
to do
use today? to
today?
start?
Like right now.
When you go home, you start.
Great question, because there's not a lot of content about it.
Yeah.
I try to talk about it. It's
What
such
can I
a
do today?
it's such strategic thinker. So I think of like there's two. I mean, there's so many ways I could take this, but there's like two types of people. There's like the executioners, and then there's
Right.
like I don't want to say the visionaries, but they are like the strategic thinkers.
Gotcha.
And most of IC is like the executioners. Like they'll word information trickles down to them and then they do it. Very important, very critical for the business. But there's also the strategic thinkers. Not a lot of leaders are strategic thinkers, but that's besides the point. We've had managers that just weren't good at their job. But strategic thinking is just understanding what should be done to move the business forward. It goes
Yeah.
back to those same business lines, the lines of thinking that business leaders care about.
Yeah.
Making money, reducing costs, competitive advantage, making things more smoother within the organization itself. Thinking about those types of things, and a lot of times those are the things that most executioners don't want to think about or don't
Right.
even notice. It's also being able to, most leaders, they don't have enough time to go and look and see what articles are trending and what's like that. So keeping your ears to the street and being able to say, hey, I saw this, X, Y, and Z did this in a case study. I think that this could be something we could do as well that'll give us like a strategic advantage or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Kind of like being that person that the leaders can lean on
Yeah.
because they don't have the time and resources
figure
to
that
figure it
out.
out
Figure it out,
themselves.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. Also, because I mean, there's only so much time we could talk on the podcast. Again, go like find a really cool like leadership role that you want. Copy and paste it into like Claude or Gemini. I use Manus personally, and ask it. Here's my resume. What are some things I would need to do to get to this level? Reverse engineer how I can work my way up there, even if it's 1 year or 2 years or 3 levels above. And that's a really good way to figure out how to get there as well
Work
too,
backwards from
particularly
Yeah.
for you and where you're trying to go, and even
Makes
the
sense.
company you like.
Yeah. Do you subscribe to any publications or anything to keep yourself updated on what's going on?
Yes. I'm a researcher by heart. So I look at the Financial Times. I look at New York Times. I look at who else? There is why is his name Andrew Jones. He is a AI strategist / like helps people do AI engineering. He's good too because he talks about all the different ways the hyperscalers and all them are maneuvering and helps to talk about what that means for like actual executioners.
Yeah.
Any of the there's one called Strategy that's more so like AI strategy. I am always on Twitter, just seeing what's going on over there.
Yeah.
I'm plugged in a lot to like a lot of those employees, like Anthropic, the members of technical staff,
The
and all them.
whistleblowers.
Yeah, to see what's going on there. It's a lot of different places, quite honestly, and I know it's tailored. CIO, Chief Information Officer, that's another one I look at too to see what those people are thinking about.
Okay.
I always say, one, look at publications that are something that the role you're looking for would care about.
Yeah.
And then also look at publications that would be something your manager or whoever you'd be speaking to would be looking at, should be looking at to get that type of information as well.
Okay.
That's good. So, like, on this time, we like to give the guests a chance to ask us questions if you have any.
Yes. I looked at y'all's website and I was like, oh, y'all do cybersecurity consulting. This is really cool. So do y'all like help with like AI security and threat modeling and stuff like that? Or is it like more so traditional like GRC work at this point?
So it's still in the works. We haven't started to do consulting yet, but the consulting that we do will be around our personal profession. So I do GRC. We have cloud engineering, we have security operations. So it's more so towards what we do in our day to day. We haven't thought into AI strategy or threat modeling just yet, but that would be a good line for us to have, honestly, once we start getting our clients in and start working into it.
They're going to need
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And like maybe we can, bring you into to help us with that too.
Yes, let's chat after.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I have a couple of angles for y'all because I know the basics of AI security, but I'm not. So I'm like, y'all are good because again, just like I did DevOps and cloud engineering, it's the same thing for AI and cybersecurity for y'all.
Yeah.
The other question I had for y'all was like, I know that y'all put on events and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do y'all like doing that? What about it brings y'all joy? Especially when it comes to like the hacker-proof brand and what y'all do, because I think it's amazing. But
I mean, I think like it's just the idea of like connecting with people that look like us and connecting with people in our field, right? Because it takes a village, sometimes, right? And just connecting with people and learning more just keeps us in that safe place to grow, basically. So that's just it for me.
Yeah, we like to meet people. Like, it's more about the people. Like, cause it's one thing to sit on the screen and talk on camera and like post socials, but like when you actually get to meet people in person, it's so much fun. Like, it's so much fun. And people like love what you're doing, and like we also learn and meet people like you that we can bring on the show. So it's a big networking ploy for us. That's why we do the events. Honestly, yeah.
that was the last question I have, y'all. I'm not gonna drill y'all.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a wrap. Thank you for coming, Kiara.
I know this was a good segment.
We gotta bring it back.
Yeah, bring it back
We need a
for
part
sure.
two with you,
Yeah.
for sure.
Guys, watch out for episode. Subscribe, follow, anything. It's a wrap.
Bye. Bye, guys. This was amazing.